Hey, yo, lesson here, baby.
What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Calgary Barbell. We are wrapping up another week of training, and let's just dive right into it. All in all, this week went pretty well. Worked up to 715 on my equipped squat in Winnipeg on Sunday, and honestly, that was probably one of the best equipped squats of this training cycle. It moved really well. The depth was good, so I was glad to finally sort of catch my groove in that. I'm figuring some more stuff out with my squat. We'll talk about that when I get to my raw squat day this week. That was probably the first and only excellent shirt bench day I've ever had. I worked up to 465 pounds and it smoked it, like touched and pressed it. Touched and pressed 3 different reps. I think it was like 435, 455, 465, something like that. And then a set of 5 at 405. So super good day in the shirt. I'm wearing a size 50 Super Katana, regular cut collar with the sleeves taken in like 3/4 of an inch, and that seems to be the sweet spot for me. I just got my regular katana yesterday, but I kind of bunged up my shoulder. I'm not sure what it was about the weekend of benching, but after my equipped bench day, my bicep tendon's been acting up quite a bit. By this point, it's Thursday today, or sorry, it's Friday today. It's probably 70% better. So I'm hoping by Monday to be able to get back in my shirt and continue training as usual. But this week I haven't been benching really over like 100 kilos kind of thing. So Tuesday was raw deadlift day, worked up to 335 kilos there. That went really well, flew like a rocket ship. Was happy about that. Hand was torn, so I had to use my straps, which I was not super stoked on, but kind of a necessary evil when you bust your hands open. Did a whole bunch of volume that day, 5 triples at I think 302 or 305, which is also a big volume PR for me. I had, like I said last week, I haven't really done a whole lot of volume above 300 kilos, so it's kind of cool to be having my working sets in that range. It feels good. Skipped Wednesday because it was all upper body stuff, and again, that bicep tendon's still bugging me. Got some treatment done on it. Thursday came in, squatted, did 252.5 kilos for a triple, and that went super well. The top triple was really good. Did 4x4 at 227.5 kilos afterwards that were a little more challenging, but I've finally figured out a repeatable, effective way to squat that doesn't hurt. And the biggest thing for me is when I hit the hole, in order to get depth, I have to like kind of push back a little bit. So instead of coming up like this and then, you know, putting the hips in, what I have to do is I have to hit the hole, come up, get the hips in, and then stand up a little more straight up and down. And that kills the pain or stops the pain from happening 10 times out of 10 so far. It's repeatable. It's something that I've been doing for a couple weeks in training. It's something I noticed in my suit and then really exaggerated on Thursday, and it felt impeccable. So I'm really happy that I'm pretty much able to squat and train as normal without pain right now. So I can't even explain how good that feels. Today was equipped deadlift day. Worked up to 345 kilos. That went super well. I hit a single at 335, 340, 345. And I think the 345 might have been my fastest rep. I'm doing a lot of static holds at the top. My hands are feeling a little bit better, so I made sure to work them really good today. Hit a set of 5 at 305 afterwards, and first 4 with straps, last one pulled with my hands, and just held it for as long as I could until I started to feel it slipping. I definitely think that I'll be able to pull something really cool at Nationals if I can hold on to it. So I'm really hammering the crap out of my grip right now. So before we get on to the question of the day today, I want to propose a bit of a change to how we're running the question of the day thing. We want you guys to start sending in video submissions for question of the day. It doesn't have to be anything fancy. It doesn't have to be anything that like requires a lot of effort. But what we're going to ask you guys to do is just film yourself asking the question, because we're getting to the point now where there's a lot of comments on any given video we post. It can be hard for us and very time consuming for us to sort of run through all the comments or try to keep track of or reference back to the questions. And there's a lot of good ones in there, and we're worried that some of them are starting to get buried because we're just not able to keep up. So what we want to get people to do is, if you can submit a video of yourself asking the question, you can like shout out yourself or shout out your Instagram or whatever. Just make it nice and short and succinct. Ask the question, we'll put it in the video, and then we'll answer the question that way. And that allows us to be a little bit more interactive with you guys, but also make sure that we're not losing any of these questions in the comment section. So today's question of the day comes from a guy named Justin Choi. And Justin wants to know if I have an example of how an RPE 6 squat, bench, and deadlift should look or feel. Now, I'm not necessarily going to answer your question in a very direct way, Justin, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about how we should be rating our RPEs for anybody doing RPE-based training. Now, everybody knows sort of the base concept behind RPE is that a 10 is a maximal effort, a 9 means you could have done one more rep, an 8.5 means you could have done one more, maybe 2 more reps, etc., etc. And all this stuff is very readily available online. But I think a lot of the times we get caught in this trap of wondering what other people think our lifts look like RPE wise. And if it's not your coach making that decision, it can be hard, and it can sometimes, you know, alter the course of your training if you're asking a couple different people what they think the RPE looks like. Now, for myself on the bench, I'm one of those guys where, you know, an RPE 8 for me is going to be really fast. Because I know that, you know, a tough set, like if I'm going to a 10, it's going to be 1, 2, and then the last rep's just going to be like a grind. And it's just a matter of positioning, and that's me knowing my bench press. So I think part of the value of the RPE system is getting to know your lifts, understanding where you can grind and when you can grind. And it's a matter of experience. So I think it's a good thing to be tracking your RPE very often. Even if you're not necessarily using it to prescribe your intensity, just track it, be mindful of it. So if it does come time you're tracking RPEs, then you can accurately, you know, you have a gauge of it. And if you're uncertain, like Justin, and isn't sure what it should look or feel like, it's just gonna take time. It's just gonna take practice. It needs to be a mix of objective and subjective. So objective meaning not influenced by your sort of emotional state, and subjective meaning like that it's coming from your own frame of reference. It needs to be a mixture of how many do I think I could have done versus, you know, maybe watching the video back. And I think if it feels like an 8 and looks like a 9, I'll generally call that like an 8.5. But again, it just comes back to a lot of practice with the RPE, gauging, getting used to that kind of thing, and trying not to rely too much on, you know, asking maybe the internet or asking your friends or whatever what your RPE is. I think you need to learn to develop that for yourself, because you're gonna learn even from lift to lift. You know, my squats, I think I can grind out a little bit better. My deadlifts are kind of go or not, and my bench is kind of go or not as well. So to kind of conclude and provide a bit of a more concrete answer to your question, Justin, I can't really tell you what it should look or feel like. That's something you're gonna have to figure out for yourself. You're gonna need time under the bar, and you're gonna need experience tracking your RPEs to figure that out. And I also want you to try to make it a measure of both subjective, so how you felt about it, and objective, or how it looks, or how it looked to other people. So try to use those and come to your own conclusion on how it should look or feel. It's gonna be a compilation of a lot of data. So it's gonna be a compilation of a lot of data taken into account to try and achieve a good measure of RPE, but once you get it, it'll make sense. Just keep practicing, buddy. I think that's pretty much it for this week. Shout out to everybody who has subscribed so far. We're continuing to grow on the regular, which I'm super stoked about. So thanks to all of our new subscribers and all of our OG subscribers who have been with us since like 500. Leave a like below if you haven't subscribed, do it. And we'll see you guys very, very soon. Thanks for tuning in.
Rain doesn't fall, rain doesn't fall, rain doesn't fall. Balance don't